easy to blame everyone else for our problems.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
easy to blame, why I didn't catch that pass, or why I didn't accomplish that goal, or why I didn't. It's easy. You are where you are because you made the decisions. Your decisions yesterday got you to where you are today.
Right.
So changing your decisions, changing your habits is going to make your tomorrow different. Even heaven has a currency. As the Bible says, anything you need from heaven, you receive by faith. So the currency of heaven will be faith. But earth's currency is time.
Especially guys that when you're a freshman in college, and now it's like, you're pretty good too. Yeah, you're pretty good too. Mm-hmm. Oh, that guy I'm playing against. Yeah, you're pretty good too. I didn't have that in whatever high school I was at. Right, it was a lot easier now. Yeah. But what happens is, like, I'm a firm believer in this, and it's challenged me many times in my life. There would always come a voice in my head before a game, and sometimes it was a little earlier in my career that would test me and say, "You're not really ready. Mm-hmm. You're not prepared. Mm-hmm. Who are you? You're just 6 foot, little white guy. You can't go out there and throw. You're slow. How can you play against Micah Parsons?
Right.
You don't belong here with this. You don't belong here." And what I'd have to realize is exactly what you said. Oh, that's just a dart from the enemy.
It is.
God would never give me that thought. And then I could go back and look at it and say, oh, yeah, these are the habits I had. This is the work that I have done. You can shut up. Now I'm ready to go play. And cut it loose, right? And the same thing happens now in my life where as a young father and ministry and coaching, like if I get up to preach, I'm like, I have no training in this.
Right.
Like I'm just an ex-football player, washed-up quarterback that loves Jesus. I've been told I have a gift to speak, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's always those thoughts right before I step onto the platform or right before I step onto the field where it says, who are you to do this? Yeah. But God says, no, I'm worthy as a servant and a son of him, right? Sonship, to say, no, like, I've given you this platform or this thing for a reason. So if you ever struggle with confidence as an athlete or in your life, realize that the enemy's trying to hold you back from something great.
Yeah.
Because you're created for a big purpose.
Think about this. If everything went perfectly in your life, you never had any setbacks, how do you know you're getting better?
No doubt.
Apostle Paul talks about that thorn in his side. Yeah. We all have that thorn in our side, and we need it. And, if we don't have it, then how are you being held accountable? How are you being the great speaker, the great writer that you are? You need to face those setbacks because it makes you better, makes you greater.
Yeah, and I think the scars too, right? Like I'm a person, I want to follow someone who shows me their scars.
Yeah.
I got a ton of them, Tanner. Don't cover it up.
I got a ton.
I know. Like, that's one of the reasons we connected so well. Is it was like, my dad had cancer. Hey, bro, I just lost my brother.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm relating to you immediately, and that was a divine connection. But, like, I think some of the best leaders are the most vulnerable people to the people that they are leading, right? So, like, if I'm following a coach, or if I'm following someone, let's say it's a pastor or a small group leader at my church, when they're vulnerable to me, that allows me to say, this is what I'm actually struggling with. Yeah. Instead of putting on a mask. And the same thing happens in athletics.
It does.
It's like the alpha mindset of, well, no, I have to be alpha male all the time. If anyone challenges my authority, then I have to strike back. And I'm not talking physically, but like I can never show weakness, when in reality, like, your superpower is your vulnerability to the people in your locker room, the people that are around you, to the people from your in your pulpit, or in your congregation, from the pulpit, whatever it is. Like, I love to follow people that show me their scars. Yeah. Because it shows the human side of it and says what happens when you actually show me your scars. You show me where Jesus was more important than yourself. Mm-hmm. You show me where, hey, I'm not enough, but God made me enough because of him. Instead of just saying, no, I'm just gifted. I've just always been I've always just been this. And I'm like, what? Can I have that blessing?
I think what you're saying there is, I've realized it is a gift, right? The ability to speak, the ability to play, the ability to train. They're all just gifts that came from God. Yeah. So for me to try to act like I'm something, I'm nothing. I'm just a gift. I just have a gift that God gave me. I could take that gift just as quick as He gave me that gift. Yes. And so it's my gift just to give, right? And so it keeps me humble, keeps me from being arrogant, to realize it's not mine anyway. Mm-hmm.
But you're such a good steward, Dave, over it all.
But you try, you want to be a good steward, but to write a book or whatever, all it is just it's a gift and favor. We like
favor.
I can't do that, but God's God decided to shine His face upon me.
Yeah.
And I try to stay humble because like I said, the most vulnerable. I mean, we've all messed up, right? We've all made mistakes. There's a whole list of all of our heroes in the Bible that were jacked. They were jacked up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Noah was a drunk, and Abraham was too old, and Moses was a stutterer, and Job went bankrupt. David was an adulterer and a murderer. Timothy had an ulcer, worried about everything. You got all these people that just. But God doesn't look on the outside, right? God looks at our heart, and I think that humble heart of knowing that I couldn't do anything if it wasn't for Him. That keeps me from ever getting arrogant, thinking it's about me.
Yeah, but the thing that you controlled is what you acted on it.
Yeah.
You felt God pulling you in a direction, and you didn't just sit on the sidelines because He can call someone else to do it too.
You don't want to waste a gift either.
No.
Right?
I mean, it's like, could you imagine I buy you a gift at your birthday, and I'm like, Dimitri, look at this. And you're like, thanks. And just set it on the table.
Right.
And I'm like, no, open it.
Right.
I bought that for you. I've got my wife a gift. It was our anniversary, and I bought it. She's like, I had a dream last night you were going to give me a diamond necklace for our anniversary. She said, what do you think that means? I said, honey, when we go to dinner tonight and I give you your gift, you'll find out. So she was so excited. We went to dinner that night and I gave her a gift. She rips the paper. She's one of those.
Right.
Rips the paper off. I'd bought her this book on the meaning of dreams. I had no idea what it meant when she had a dream about me giving her a diamond necklace, because I wasn't giving her a diamond necklace. But we all have these gifts, and it's up to us to unwrap the gift.
I agree.
Not just put it on the table or put it under. I'll look at it later. God picked out this gift just for you. God didn't go to Costco and buy life in bulk.
Yeah.
Right. And give us all the same thing. You have gifts I don't have.
Right.
I have gifts you don't have, and vice versa. And so it takes all of us using our gifts to even make this whole thing happen. There's people you can't even see right now that set up the camera and the lights and running the audio, and who has a gift that we don't have, or else you wouldn't see any of this. Yeah. But it takes all of us using our gifts together to give you this podcast that's going to encourage you and inspire you and hopefully add value to your life.
Yeah, and you might have a similar gift as somebody. Like, that's where you talked about, like, mentorship is so important. But they've been 30 years at it. You've been 2. Right? So your gift's not going to look the same. It's going to be a little different anyway. But, yeah, you don't have the practice or the reps that somebody else who's been preaching for 30 years.
Right.
Right? But I also think, like, God, if God gives you, big gifts, if He gives you a Ferrari, don't drive it like a Camaro. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Don't drive it 25 miles down the highway. Drive it like a Ferrari. Like, use the gifts that He gives you to the fullness.
Are you saying you're going to give me a Ferrari?
No.
Oh, okay.
You know what?
That's not one of my gifts.
No, yeah.
Okay.
You could give me a Ferrari. Okay. When we go down to Florida, I'll rent you one. Check back in a year or two. Okay. We'll see. But I think it's really cool. And one of the kind of last questions that I have for you, and you can take this wherever you want to go, it's for both you guys. It's on habits too. And like, I'd love to hear your perspective on, like, from a pastoral standpoint and a speaking standpoint and yours on athletes. What are the mediocre habits that hold people back? So what's the mediocre habit that holds the young athlete back, or the professional athlete? And what's the mediocre habit that holds a speaker back, a communicator, a pastor?
I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I think, you were talking about we're all at different levels. I think working on your skills, right? So it's a gift to speak, but it's something I have to work on, my communication. And it comes through the reps. Right. And guys don't do the reps, or they don't study. I study other communicators. I'm careful. Communication has to be clear. It has to be concise. It has to be. And so the habit of thinking I can just rely on, it's a gift. I'll just get up there and do it, Right. I used to be the chaplain for the WWE, and I work with a lot of wrestlers. And one of them is now one of the top motivational speakers and school speakers, goes into middle schools and shares. But his first time speaking, I was working with him, and he's like used to being in the ring, grabbing the mic. I'm so pretty. He had all that down. So he's like, I'm like, where's your? He goes, I got this, man. I got this. And about 5 minutes in, he's like, he had a gift to speak, a gift to be in front of people, but he didn't work on the gift. He didn't. He didn't put in the reps. He didn't exercise, right? And so now he's up there, and so got up there with him and goes, let me ask you a couple questions.
Right.
And I just started walking through the other 25 minutes of his 30 minutes that he was supposed to be speaking. And so I think that's for speakers, and I think that's one of the things is realizing we have a gift, but also God requires of us to take some responsibility for that gift and work on it, right? And fine tune it. You could be an incredible quarterback, but if you don't ever practice if you don't learn the playbook,
you'll lose it.
You're not gonna have it, right? You're not gonna be the starter. So,
for me, I think a lot of athletes have gotten their gratification from people instead of God.
Yeah.
And a few things that I try to tell people is that you are who God says you are. And who you are today is not who you will be tomorrow. And the little things add up to be big things. And it takes reps. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes consistency. And over time, you start to become that great athlete. And you look at a football game, Tanner. You play 2 hours, but you train 40 hours that week to get ready for that 2 hours.
Oh, bro, take it more than that. You get a guaranteed, if you're in college football, you get 12 opportunities.
Yeah.
And you work all year for 12 opportunities. Yeah. It ain't like basketball where you got, how many games do they play in the NBA?
Right.
82? MLB, 182?
NFL 17, right?
162. What is it, Kevin? 162. Yeah, I was talking to Bronson Royal one time when I'm from the Cincinnati area, we were playing golf. And he's this huge dude, and I look up to him as a kid, and I'm like, hey, bro, I played 14 games a year. How did you go over 100 games?
Right.
And he was like, well, that's a big reason why a lot of these top rookies that come in, watch them in their rookie year in the MLB, especially if they don't play in the minors. Around like 3/4 through the season, their production fades quickly.
Right.
He said it goes back to when I was a kid. My dad had me deadlifting at 12 years old, and I was lifting weights every day. I don't know if it was the best thing for me, but mentally I was just kind of built different than the guy next to me. So I was able to go and play for a long time, and I was like, well, what it comes back to, habits that he was built from his father at 12 years old that carries him into his MLB career as one of the top pitchers in the MLB at the time, with the big sweeping leg kick and the big righty with the blonde flow, which I do not have. Yeah. But I think it's those are limited opportunities where you're talking about young speakers. And I'd love to ask you, as somebody who's fascinated by speakers, pastors, and preachers, who do you – I know it probably changes a little bit, but on a consistent basis, who are you learning from? Who are you watching?
Me?
Week to week to kind of just learn from and how to –
But other than DaVinci.
Yeah, I'd love to know who you're watching.
Yeah, of course, my mentors, John Maxwell is one of my mentors that I watch. I watch a lot. I've got a lot of mentors I've never met, right? I've never.
That's so good.
I've got mentors that aren't even alive, right? That I've watched their videos or I've listened to their teachings for hours or read their books. So books are powerful. I mean, what took someone their entire lifetime to learn, I can learn in 3 hours for $20.
Yeah.
Right.
By buying a book. That's why I've got over 4,000 books.
Jeez.
Why there's too much stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the habits I have is the habit of wisdom. I try to learn something every day. If you want tomorrow to be different than today, learn something today that'll make tomorrow different.
That's good.
If you go into tomorrow with the same information you have today, you won't have it tomorrow. You just have a longer today.
Yes.
So I got to learn something today. So I'm watching. A good friend of mine, Joel Osteen. I love his communication.
Yeah.
And the way he communicates. One thing I learned from him, which is great for speakers, is after you speak, go back and watch the video muted.
Wow.
And see what your expressions are communicating.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Right?
Body language.
I never heard of it. Yeah.
You could be. You notice a lot of preachers that are like. Wow. Giving us the greatest hope and the greatest encouragement. They look like this. If you got it on mute, it's like, why is he so mad?
Right.
That's how he learned to smile.
Wow.
Like no matter what he's presenting, I want to present it with, amen.
Yeah.
Amen. So wisdom.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn from different people that are
and wisdom is free.
Communicating.
Wisdom is free. If he said any man who lacks wisdom, let him pray for it. Let him ask for it.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah. I think, like, kind of going off of that, there's probably a lot of people who want to be in your shoes one day, right? Like, they want to be a pastor of a church. They want to be someone who gets invited to go speak at other places and has to turn down opportunities to speak, right? But it didn't happen overnight, right? It was a long process for you. What advice would you give to the young person getting into ministry or trying to become a motivational speaker to pour into middle schools, high schools, whatever it may be? Yeah. What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, like we've said, work on your skill. You have the gift, you have the desire. It's in your heart to do, but take every opportunity that you can. Yeah. Right. No, you're not going to get paid $30,000 when you first start.
Right.
You might get $500. You may be asked to do a speech for free at a youth group or at a high school or the Rotary Club. Take every opportunity. Right. Yeah. I'm training up some speakers right now, and I'm like, just platform host. Be the one that comes and does the announcements, because every time you come on a stage, every time you're in front of people, you're learning how to flow, how to transition from one thing to the next, and all that's part of your speaking. And every time you get a little bit better, you get a little bit better. I had a mentor of mine would just every time 3-4 minutes. And then he started training me. Like, he'd come up with stuff. I'd be with him and thousands of people. Dave, come up here. He handed me the microphone. He goes, if you had 90 seconds, I want you to tell these people the 3 most important things that they need to know about Jesus. Mm-hmm. Right? So I didn't know that's what he was going to ask me. Right. So on the spot, I've got to come up with these 3 things in 90 seconds. Next time it might come up, Dave, come up. And I'm like, okay, I got it. 3 things. I got it. Dave, I want you have 60 seconds to live. What's the most important thing these people need to know about generational wealth?
Wow.
And it's like, wait, I was going to tell you 3 things about Jesus. Right. You asked me last time. But so it would be, but it trained me to be ready at all times, right? And to be able to speak anywhere. Sometimes I'd be on the stage, sometimes I'd be down on the floor. It was just, but all that was part of the training, right? Jeez. And so I think that just that habit of learning. I try to learn something every day. If you want tomorrow to be different than today, learn something. I was looking. I had written down just some of the habits, right? Yeah. The habit of health, right? Take 20 minutes a day just to walk if you need to start. Just do something. The habit of rest. Entrepreneurs, you probably got a lot of entrepreneurs and athletics people and athletes. You go. Yep. And God even took a time to rest. Tired eyes rarely see a bright future. Ooh, right?
Well, that was good.
When fatigue walks in, faith walks out. Wow. I can be so I'm ready, and you get tired. Like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do that. When you're tired, think your enemies look bigger, mountains look taller, right? And so that's why God he said rest on the 7th day. Took a break, and so it's so important that you make a habit of finding time to rest, right? The habit of planning, that's valuable, because most of us just kind of jump up and go through the day. I do a lot of speaking for Mary Kay Cosmetics. And one of the things I learned from Mary Kay was every day, and I never met her, but when I was going to speak for her, I started reading her book. I wanted to know about her. So I'm speaking to all of her people that she's raised up to, these women to be entrepreneurs and own their own businesses. But she would write down every day, she'd write down 6 things she wanted to do that day. And then she'd prioritize those 6 things and in their order of importance. And then she never did number 5 until she did 1 through 4. Never did number 2 till she did number 1. So she took time, prioritized the day. Wow. Because we'll go, I got to do this day, I got to do that. That's you ever gone through a whole day? You're like, it was nonstop. What'd you do today? I was nonstop.
Right.
But you can't remember what you did because you had no priority. You had no order to your life, or you had no plan. Yeah. But even the Bible talks about the power of a plan, right?
That's so good.
Everything was planned. There's plans for building the temple. There's plans for battle. It lays out all the plans. And he said, even God said, commit your plans to me, and I would cause them to succeed. Well, most of us can't do that because we don't have a plan. Right? I want to start a business. Let me see your plan. I don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Well, God can't, if you don't have a plan to commit to Him. We developed a whole coaching program called the Game Plan, where we take people through how to develop a plan.
I love it.
Right? Because you got to have something to commit to God. Like,
Right.
God, here's my plan, so now He can bless it. He becomes your partner.
Yep.
Yeah.
My goodness, can't think of a better partner than God causing your plans to succeed. Right? So there's the habit of planning. So I plan my day. I take 15, 20 minutes every day just to meditate, take a few minutes to quiet myself. And okay, what do we need to do today? What's the plan for today? Yeah. I was talking to a CEO who takes an hour every day to plan his day. But he said, if I plan my day, it's like the power of imagination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Michael Phelps, right? What did he do? He would imagine before he ever jumped in the pool, he'd already had that race, right? He already knows if his goggles come off. He already knows what he's going to do because he's already imagined it. He's been through it. He's got a plan and so that's taking the time every day to imagine a plan. So all those are just
that's so good. It's like Jerry Rice. Like Jerry Rice, he laid his jersey out on the floor before every game the exact same way, and he would always say, "Oh yeah, when we get to the game, I've already played the game in my mind.
Yeah.
I've already done it. I've already seen myself catch the slant route and break it off the will linebacker. I've already seen myself make the game-winning touchdown in the corner." Like that's one thing I would do. Like I would call it like maybe a little cringy, like a no nerve zone. So I would take a shower before the game, like have a little worship music on, and I would run through. Like I'd studied the play sheet so many times by that. So the plays that I was nervous about, like whether it's a shot play that could go for a touchdown and I knew the defense, I would sit there in my head and be like, okay, 7-13, boom, the free safety comes down, double move off it. I hit it inside, 2 yards inside of the hash, touchdown, boom, let's go. Go first, touchdown, go first. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like things like that allowed me to see myself having success. Yeah. And one of the things that you talked about, you're really talking about balance. And one of the things I think Pastor Jonathan at Creative talks about balance really well.
Yeah.
And something that the Holy Spirit, I felt like, kind of downloaded into me is balance is just priority and action. If I list my priorities, then I can have balance because I'm putting the time into where the priority is. And something I learned from Sean Clifford, who's a good friend of mine, who's got a lot of things going on, runs a VC group, has started a business while he was a starting quarterback at Penn State, sold the business, and is still the president of the business, is a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And he was up here in Minneapolis and we were training a little bit, and I just picking his brain like, hey, show me your calendar. And it's all color-coded for, this is the amount of time I spend, based on the season, the quarter of it. So I can go back and make sure I can hold myself accountable that I spent as much time as I needed to, in the season. I'm giving everything I can to football, and I might have an hour a day for business. But I can go back and hold myself accountable to that. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, so many times what you explained of, I did everything. And my wife says, what'd you do today? I'm like, well, I made this video for that. I said I was going to journal, but I didn't do it. Man, what did I do today?
Right.
Because I don't have my priorities into action. Yeah. I know what they are, but I didn't actually, go about it. Yeah. Like I wasn't about it in the day. I just thought it in my head.
And another thing I want to go back and touch base on that I learned, Pastor Jonathan, is sleep. God doesn't waste your sleep. Mm-hmm. You get visions and dreams in sleep, and He reveals your next steps in sleep. I think we spend about 15-20% of our lives sleeping.
Yeah.
And it should be, and it's not wasted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what would you say to people from a pastoral standpoint with dreams, right? And I know we're getting way off of habits right now, but I could sit here and ask you questions all day, so we'll stop at some point.
I was just thinking about imagination. I imagined that I worked out today with Da Vinci, but I'm just imagining it.
See, we can make that a reality, right?
Let me just imagine it a little longer.
Yeah, I saw myself doing, running the.
I know Tanner was supposed to come work out with me today.
Yeah, so what happened was, had something come up.
So we talk about excuses.
Yeah, it is excuses.
That's a whole other book.
I cannot. It's that responsibility. That goes back to responsibility.
No, it does. But, I think, again, I'm talking about my own experiences. As I exited playing and decided, even with opportunities on the table, that God was steering my life a different direction. Well, I was in, I had so many disciplines in my life that helped me be at the level that I was at. Couldn't have done it without the Lord putting it on my heart and making those habits happen. And then I was coaching. I had to have habits. I mean, I was there all day, right? I had to get stuff done and be efficient. And when I exited that and became, a business owner, trainer, and doing all this other stuff, and sometimes in ministry and whatever, it's like, well, what habits do I have? And then so quickly I realized, like, dude, I lost 10 pounds because I didn't work out in 2 weeks.
Right.
But before it was like, well, I don't have the choice to not work out. I have to if I want to be at my best on a Saturday or Sunday. Like, there is no option.
So that's how you lose weight. Stop working out.
Well, see, listen, that's the difference.
Dave, it's reverse.
Yeah, all the muscle mass just went way down.
Put that down.
I think at this point now, you're talking about replacing the habit of eating donuts with celery on your salad.
Yeah,
that's me. I drive by Dunkin' Donuts and I'm like, should I turn right? No, just keep it pushing and go to the gym. But is there anything else that's on your heart, talking about habits or anything that you just want to leave kind of with the listeners?
I'm a big proponent of wisdom, which we've been talking about, and that's what I just encourage anyone that is tune into podcasts, read books, invest in yourself. There's 3 ways to learn: mistakes, which is the slowest way to get wisdom.
That's what I did my whole life, is mistakes.
Yeah, we can learn from our mistakes, but someone keep repeating them.
Yeah,
it's important to learn from them. The second way to get wisdom is mentors. Have people around you that have already been there. I call one of my mentors, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? He said, I wouldn't do that if I was you. I said, why not? I think it's a great idea. He said, so did I. He'd already done it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So they said there's no shortcut to success. A good mentor is your shortcut to success. And then the third way to get wisdom is money. You can buy it. That's why I can't buy enough books and enough coaching programs, because there's just stuff I don't know. And the difference between where you are and where you want to be, right? How would you like to be doing better than you're doing right now?
Right.
Right? If you're not doing as well as you'd like to be doing, it just means there's something you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the only difference. So what don't you know? What don't you know that's hindering you? So get wisdom. I'll close with this story of Sir Edmund Hillary. You ever heard of Sir Edmund Hillary? First man to ever summit Mount Everest. Right? I thought one day he just got out there and climbed to the top of Mount Everest. I'm like, that's pretty awesome. How good is that? He was stronger, and I found out he didn't make it the first time he tried. He actually came back down and realized there was some different equipment that he needed he didn't have, and talked to some people who had tried before, got all the equipment he needed, tried again. Didn't make it. Came back down, did some other training, some health things he needed to work on, and he tried a third time. And I love this. He looked at Mount Everest. There's a scripture in the Bible that says you can speak to your mountain. Right? And he looked at the mountain and he spoke to the mountain. He said, as a mountain, you cannot grow, but as a human, I can.
Wow.
And I think if every one of us would just realize the power of a growth mindset, of personal development, whether it's in our spiritual life, our work life, business life, with our health, whatever, we have as humans, we have the ability to grow and to develop and to become everything that God created us to be. The road to anything great, to your full potential, is going to be uphill. It's going to take some work, but there's incredible potential inside of you if you'll say, you know what, I'm going to grow and be everything that God created me to be.
No, that's powerful.
Wow.
Well, Dr. Dave, we really appreciate your presence and your time today.
Amazing.
And saying yes
to
DaVinci's offer to come on and just share some of your wisdom with us. And one rule that I have in my life that I heard from somebody is, if it's a book and I even question about buying it, don't worry about the money, I just do it.
Yeah.
So I'd say the same thing to you. If you're considering buying Mindset Matters or Make That Break That,
just do it.
Go to Amazon and buy it right now. But again, we thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. And we just want to say thank you again to Kevin Sullivan Films for setting all this up. The guy who was behind all the cameras and those gifts, that was Kevin. So hit him up on Instagram if you ever are interested in his services. And also we want to thank our sponsor, Influence Pro Marketing. Go to them with all your digital marketing needs.
Money make the world go round. I'm trying to get it all right now. Everybody worry about the crown being. Look, homie, I'm the man right now. Talking to a peon, kind of time we on. Jump roll like the kind of take eons. Got a little buzz, it's time to go beyond. Can't look back, no time to hit rewind. Yeah, she wants to do S class. I'm like, move.